Hope YouTube behaves for this live that I'm doing now. As always, obviously, once it starts buffering or whatevering, like more than 3 times, I'm gonna have to shut it down. It's gonna ruin my video, but so be it. One another thing I could do, my ding ding ding. When you been to listen, I'ma lose my ding ding ding. Every day they gon' hate on us. Mama say they gon' pray for us, 'cause I can't do it on my own. You that godly, special somebody, somebody I know. I think that's my favorite AK track. Give me one good reason why you hands are so. I just hate the fact that it was for Bonang, man. Like, if you could have made like a dope song, it should have been for Zinhle. I think a lot of us were really rooting for that relationship. And even when they got back together after Bonang, a lot of us were kind of excited, but that didn't last long because Kiernan is Kiernan, man. So yeah, I was woken up last night to the very tragic news of the passing of AKA, whose ID name is Kiernan Jared Forbes. He was outside Wish restaurant on Florida Road in Durban. And I was in Florida Road 2-3 months back, meeting with panelists and some of the people that like my content at Starbucks there. Not only was he killed at point blank range, it seems, because I see there's photos that are circulating now of some of the camera footage, but his bodyguard, I think, got injured. I don't know if his bodyguard is in hospital or was in hospital, has been released. And then they keep speaking about an unknown man that also passed on, of which I'd like to believe, and this was confirmed to me by people close to him, Tibilo Mutswane, popularly known as Tibbs. And at some point he was Chef Tibbs. Tibbs was AKA's initial manager, you know, and I believe he's the co-founder of Head Honcho clothing brand. And he was a chef. You know, a lot of people actually loved Tibbs and the work he was doing. And just yesterday, I saw Jay something, Joao de Fonseca, of, what is their band's name? Aibo. What's Jay something's band's name? Mikasa. Come on. Chiga, my baby, chiga. Jay something was just celebrating that he's opened a restaurant in Sandton. I think he had one in Pretoria, I'm not sure. Amazing human being, Joao. Played some touch rugby with him. He was an amazing rugby player in high school at Graham College in Grahamstown. So yeah, man, losing Tibbs was not cool at all, and a lot of people are really sad about that. But obviously, when it comes to celebrity profile, AKA was bigger, and Super Mega was bigger than so many people. Upova, which I thought was such a pop nickname. Upova, Super Mega. Why tell the movie? How's the movie? Okay, because Kiernan couldn't dance, man, but he had that signature. Yawe, tede pep pep pep. Yawe, tede pep pep. I was really hurt, and I do believe AKA is the greatest rapper we've ever had in South Africa. It's my personal opinion. I know some people might think it's Nasty C. Casper Nyovest has got a lot of fans. Which other rappers are dope? Back in the day, we used to have, before he became Stogie T, we had Otumi from Dumi and the Volume. Abo Ammunition were the guys that kind of paved the way for commercial hip-hop. We had guys like Zabs. Who else? Squatter Camp, of course, when the guys were still big. Or Slicker, when they were still rapping. You know, and look, the link with Slicker, obviously, so Slicker dated Bonang at some point. Euphonic dated Bonang at some point. And then AKA dated Bonang. And I think she upgraded him. Donna started wearing suits. I think he had a team, and you know, because that's the Bonang flavor. Some woman upgrade you. You know, oh, the baby, let me upgrade you. But then Bonang from there, I think, went and dated Dibanj, who was involved in some scandal with government monies in Nigeria recently. But yeah, man, we loved AKA with Zinhle. I was speaking about hip hop and the best rappers in the country. A-Reese. A lot of people fucks with A-Reese. And then from a musical perspective, like AKA, come on, MT. Because we Petty Curb. And I know he did roll up with a lady that was a mentee of mine back in the day when she got to Joburg. Usiswa Seswatini, Bianca Costa, beautiful young lady. Bumping on Instagram when she got to Joburg and she became like a star in her own right. Very humble, from an amazing family, because I've gone to visit her parents. I know her brother and her sister. But Bianca is in the video, you roll up. Ting, 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 EPTM, yeah, Wiz Khalifa. What's Wiz Khalifa's track? We Them Boys. Holla, holla, we them boys. Ting, ting. And then I'm in love with the Coco. I forgot that guy's name. But I know he was mentored by Busta Rhymes. But anyways, MT went and did the same beat, and he did Roll Up, which was his breakthrough track. When JR wanted to sign him, but then I think JR couldn't pay the money that Ambitious and I think Ukhosi, Momapilo, from Ambitious, dropped money on MT. MT became the Lil Wayne of Ambitious Records, you know, and after him came out Java, came out Black Diamond. I think Fifi Cooper was there at the beginning as well. DJ City Lights, you know, all those guys, you know. Ambitious has given us hits, boy, for days. Hits. But of course, there have been scandals. A-Reese was with Ambitious as well. What is his song? It had a Tupac. Ding, 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 ding. I'm mad at you. Because I'm mad at you. That's Tupac. A-Reese did... Haven't seen you in a while. But yeah, man, we've had a lot of amazing talents. I just can't think of names now. Dope. K.O. K-Easy, who's got arguably the greatest rap verse in the country on Ranchosi. My flow is so hazardous. Fanagiti, can nobody handle us? I annihilated all my competitions. There is no further challenges. Next thing you know, your career is over. And over some characters. Yeah, we live in that ESCOM life. Yeah, we in that power circle. All I want to do is in the and you're hoping for happiness. Jeez, what a verse. Ranchosi, where we were introduced to Young Chief, who I think had been making music videos before then. And now AKA shut down Mandela Bridge. KO is probably the most consistent rapper we've had in the country. Coming from Yini Krupia Kegonji. With Aboma E Nabon Tugza. Now I have to read comments. I don't want to read comments. KO. Another chance. What was AKA group? I mean, KO's group's name. Tear Gas. I don't want to read the comments, man, but always, so thank you so much. Tear Gas, you know, pretty dope. Yeah, KO, dope rapper. AK has worked with some of the best. At some point, I think we were waiting for him and Casper to release a track together and not have their beef, which was cute, but kind of whack, because South Africa's not really a beef, you know. Tupac and Biggie, Nas and Jay-Z. We're not those guys, you know. So we really thought at some point it would end in a collaboration. But look, it was a good competitive beef, because we got songs like Composure that came out, which I think is one of my favorite AKA tracks. AKA, I think, is also arguably one of the greatest hip-hop verses in South Africa. On a track it does with Nigeria's Ice Prince Zamani, N-word, where it's like, it's gonna take more than good luck to bring your daughter back. What? Good Luck Jonathan, I think at the time, was either the president of Nigeria or had just stepped down as being the president of Nigeria. So that pun and some of the other things that he drops on that track. Aye, Baba. Aye. The world is yours. You played it safe. Amazing grace. I praise the Lord. But that in the minute, in the gap in tap in the minute, in the tent, and every time in the minute, baby, take the trophy home. We're the champions. So yeah, man, we lost AKA. Kiernan Forbes. Shots at close range. Tibbs. We lost Tibbs. Something we're not used to as a country, man. We lost DJ Somebody, who I think was the co-owner of Yep Yep, which is a club in Pretoria. And he had a bumping track with Abo Tebe, Nabotira, Yep, yay. We don't know what's happening. And there have been rumors, of course, of AKA doing drugs. Also with Ubonang. I remember Uri and Blackstep was sued by Ubonang for that allegation that she does cocaine. And the links that are AKA and some of these other guys in the industry take drugs. I think Uchub, when he visited MacG on Podcast and Chill, alluded to how he took drugs at some point. I don't know if he kind of linked Kelly Kumalo as well at that point, but these are rumors, of course. These are just rumors, these are speculations, things people say. But Chub, I think, yeah, in itself was saying, look, hey, Baba, we did drugs. I think it may have been ecstasy at the time that he spoke about. And some people now are linking the killing to Uto AK were part of the underworld, and because they did drugs, sometime in this funny, you know. I remember at some point, Gaten McKenzie and Nukenik had his czar as a club, and there were rumors of drugs there as well. DJ somebody apparently because he owned a yep drugs. All these allegations, you know, things that all Musa Kaula would want to speculate on. But you know, there's that story. There's this the story of crime in South Africa where a nobody, never mind a DJ somebody, there can be a nobody who ends up getting killed in this country, very tragically, because we've got a very bad crime rate. AKA just a year or two ago lost his fiancée, you know, Anele Dembe, Nelly, who allegedly committed suicide. I don't know if that case is still ongoing. There were videos and pictures of AKA breaking into her door, and there was a story of her wanting to jump off I don't know if it was the Hilton Hotel before that. And at some point there were news in the media where her father, Anele, was saying that he doesn't think his daughter committed suicide. So the insinuation there was that maybe AKA or someone else had been involved in her death. And now some of the rumors, of course, are the father may be involved in now the killing of AKA. And other people are scared because they're like, look, he's a prominent businessman. People are saying, hey, Zulu, you know, hey, whatever. And look, again, rumors and speculation. But when you speak of someone that you love, someone that we all loved because he made amazing music like AKA, we have to ask questions. As fans, people that cared about him, in the same way, we ask questions about Anele Tembe. Was AK involved? And some of you will remember that he did the interview where he was crying, speaking about how much he loved his fiancée and they were going through tough times. And again, even then, drugs featured. Would say, drugs. And we don't know. Speculations, of course. At her funeral, DJ Zinhle's picture made it onto the PowerPoint presentation, which was just clumsy, if not intentional. DJ Zinhle's moved on with her life, of course. She's married to, if not engaged to, one of the members of Black Motion. I think he's left Black Motion now. And I remember seeing a picture of him and AKA, which I thought was very dope. You know, stepfatherhood and just fatherhood, because you've got AKA, Ubabaka Cairo, who's a star in her own right. And then you've got, I don't know his name, unfortunately, with Black Motion. But you stepfather to Cairo, and they've got a child as well with Zinhle, you know. Seeing modern family, blended family relationships is pretty dope. AK, of course, being linked to Nicole Nyaba at some point, being dating now, before he passed, Nadia Nakai, very prominent rapper in her own right, who was signed to, I don't know if she still is, to Family Tree. You know, yeah, Casper in your vest. Thank you, Temba. Tell Kamala Kutabi Somurule, Mchitewe Black Motion. The husband or Uto always married, why lobola? Oh, so he lobola to DJ Zinhle and they married. So to Utabi, so you know, the picture he took with AKA, where it was, you know, fatherhood, which I thought was pretty dope, because a lot of us have to deal with stepfathers in our children's lives as men. A lot of us are stepfathering other people's children. It's the world we live in today, and it's honest, and we need to try and do it as well as we can. But it's sad. We lost Ricky Rick a year ago to suicide. I don't even know if there were investigations there. We saw the story of Bianca Naidu having to fight for his estate to be the, what's it called? Not the trustee, executor. I think the executor of the estate. We lost WHP, who we believe it's suicide because he went on a platform with Garrett Cliff, I think on Cliff Central, spoke about how he'd attempted suicide a couple of times and failed. And they ended up laughing about it. But then he got it right. took his life. And there was a scandal there as well where I think Ulebo is her name, Lerato, his ex-wife, where WHP's family, Jablani's family, had said they weren't really married because they didn't go through the process. And then we learned about, because Rick was also not married, but they carried each other as if they were husband and wife. And there was, so Ulerato, Ulebo, got WHP, ended up winning that case, you know. So yeah, like I said, DJ somebody, we lost DJ Dimples at a time of like COVID mania, so we don't know. It's been tragic, man. It's been tragic. And you know, one of the things I said in the YouTube video that I released this morning was, we love these people, so when the stories come out, we're going to share. And when the videos and the footage, no matter how gruesome it may be, comes out, we're going to share it because we care. We feel like we lost a brother, you know. And when people are going to come and stop sharing this stuff, it's like, why? The gruesome stuff I understand. Like, as a family member, it would hurt you to see stuff like that. But we also have an emotional investment in these people's lives. And social media has become news. We're not going to wait for a City Press, News 24, Times Live to tell us the news when someone who was there can take pictures and tell us straight up, like, this is what I saw, this is what happened. That's what social media is for, especially if you're fighting a mainstream media, which always comes with its own angle and agenda. But as long as it's done in hlonipho, with dignity and respect, with guys, look, maybe I'll share this with people that are close, but of course these things always leak. We're in 2023, man. To wait for a family to officially release, to wait for the police confirmed. The police confirmed and news channels confirmed, or news platforms confirmed. So when we started posting these things, it was already confirmed. And then for people on social media to come at us sideways when they are already consuming that stuff on social media and tell us not to is kind of lame. We really need to stop attacking each other unnecessarily. We're dealing with so much, especially as a nation. Trying to give R1 billion to Tottenham Hotspur, where we're telling the ANC government that, but you guys haven't fixed crime. Senzo Meyiwa's case to this day with all the witnesses in the house has not been closed. So we don't even know if there's going to be justice in this case, if it's going to be found out who those people were. There's camera footage, of course. We saw the guys shooting, but are we going to find out who those guys are? Or Abo Begitele and them, somehow there's going to be things disappearing. All of a sudden there's going to be police commissioners or some other people resigning. Is that what's going to happen? We don't know. We don't know. And people are scared. And we're trying to send R1 billion to say, hey, visit South Africa. When there's rampant crime in this country. And not just from people on the streets, but from people in big business who are corrupt. People who kill themselves, kill each other rather for tenders, for political titles. In our government, people are killing each other. And you guys want to invite people here where we had, I don't know if it was Russian mobsters killing each other. Or, what is this guy's name? I know Lolly Jackson were involved. I know Brett. Is it Brett? What's this guy's name? They wrote a book about him. Was a white, big-boned guy. I know he played rugby. I think he went to St. Andrews. I know he had siblings or nephews at Bishop's. Is it Brett? Brett something. Brett Cable. Sorry. Brett Cable. Those guys, you know, hear of assassinations. There was a, I think a tenderpreneur that was assassinated in Sandton, driving, may have been a Rolls Royce. I've heard of killings in places like Bedford View. Of course, we've got crime in the Cape Flats. We've got crime in KZN, Baba. You know, all the way up to northern KZN. In Joburg, obviously, Konama Hostel, where Konudlame. There's crime all over Joburg. Look, the crime is bad. It's not that bad, but it's bad. And tourists, when they come in, because tourists that were killed as well. There was a story last year. I don't know if it was a German tourist. It may have been by the Kruger National Park. I'm not sure. But these stories are there. I know America does a great job of hiding their crime. You'd almost think America's safe, but in January alone, over 40 mass shootings happened in America. In America, never mind Black Lives Matter. There's killings there. There's crime in other countries. They obviously manage the picture better. And I know South Africa would like to do the same. We'd like to have a public relations image of, come visit our beaches. The problem is us here, we're suffering. So when our government and SA Tourism send these things out there, it's almost like they don't care about us. And when the tourists come here, they protect the tourists, but not us. Because when that German tourist was killed, that was one of my complaints. She was the Minister of Tourism at the time, or I think she still is. Why are Olindiwe Sisulu rushing to go and speak there, but when a South African is killed, life goes on? Similar thing could be argued now with Opegicele going to see where or AKA were murdered. When we get killed, because we're not big celebrities, no one cares. So we need to care, man, about ourselves and each other, and we need to start speaking about owning guns, because criminals have guns. Criminals are holding up police stations. There are police stations in this country. This is a fact. You can go on Google and check it now. There are police stations in South Africa that have hired private security to patrol the police station, because police stations are being mugged, being held up at gunpoint, and guns are being taken. Evidence goes missing. Guns are being hit. And then the police who generally don't have cars to come and see us, those cops then don't want us to have guns. Because I can imagine if a few of the guys at Wish had guns. We're not saying that the guys who are killed now would not be dead. We're just saying maybe they'd still be alive. Maybe it would have just been enough to exchange shots with the guys who came up with Excel. It's a real discussion we need to have. Oh, violence is bad. No, don't buy a gun. You're like, as long as you're saying violence is bad and don't buy a gun, the real criminals are not scared of getting guns. They're not. And they will harm you. They will harm your family. Had conversations, think about Cairo. Kiernan, no Zinhle. I was having conversations with the mothers of my kids last weekend, and I didn't want to speak about the story, but I'll mention it now, where one of the mothers of my kids was speaking about someone that came up to them and said, hey, these are Penel's kids. And she felt uncomfortable, and she spoke to me about it. And I was like, look, I've got my own brand and my own profile, and I'd like to think I'm relatively fearless, and I'm trying to speak truth to power, and I'm trying to empower and liberate many South African people and African people and the rest of the world. But it shouldn't be that the mothers of my kids feel uncomfortable because of myself. That's why I generally don't post them. Very few people know what the mothers of my kids look like. But then I post my kids, and it's like, look, because you post the kids, that means now people see me and they see my family. So please, can you think about it? And I decided last week, not because of them, but because I love my children, man. And because I never want to bring my children into potential harm, or their mothers and their mothers' families. I'm like, maybe I should post my kids less, I decided to discontinue my book on parenting, in particular because, number one, my children's faces are on the cover of that book. I know many people have bought the book, and I can't ask them to stop sharing the book. It's life. It's fine. And that's okay. And I also speak about my children in the books. A lot of people have got pictures of my books, of my children, because I post them all the time. I've got videos of Unkunzi speaking Mandarin to Africa. I've got pictures and videos of Uzulu, which I've posted on YouTube even. Telling my story, especially because I don't have access to Uzulu. And if he's seen in the streets with his mom, people might be like, oh, you're the lady keeping the boy from his father, which wouldn't be comfortable for her, And look, it was my way of fighting for my son, because the courts failed me. I've documented that. I'd like to be a father to my child, man. But it shouldn't be at the cost of the mom being harassed or my son feeling uncomfortable himself. So these are some of the things umuntu has to think about as their profile grows. Just watch how you move, Duduzane Zuma getting dragged because of his dad and being linked to his dad. If his father was corrupt or not. But it's like, your father, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, has been linked to his father because he's doing business in Ukraine. I think he was linked to some drug scandal. There was something about a laptop. Andile Ramaphosa gets linked to his dad. as an example. We think about these things and they're not nice. We want to live fearlessly. I want to be able to speak my truth. I want to carry on in the spirit of obigo, nabo sobugwe, nabo ani, but not to die. And look, there was a video trending by Crazy Historian on TikTok, Swati Chant, about me being a sellout. Took a clip, soundbite from Nkululeko on Culture, an interview I did with him, where I was saying, I don't want to die for blacks, you know, and I cracked a joke. I'd rather die for Jews and be sent like Cyril. It was a joke, you know, but the whole point of that video was me saying, you know, too many people have been killed trying to speak truth to power. Kanye West jokes about it. And he's like, oh, I'm still alive. People like me normally get killed for being honest. Andrew Tate is in prison now in Romania. And he keeps sending out posts about how, you know, he's being targeted because he's speaking truth and he's trying to liberate the minds of others. It shouldn't come at the cost of whatever. And I'm learning, of course, that you have to move strategically. When your voice is still small and you make noise on social media and people are like, oh, you're so controversial. That's cute. Until all of a sudden you start being seen on bigger platforms and people across the African continent are watching your content. Leaders, political leaders, business leaders. And then people overseas, business leaders, political leaders. And you're getting people contact you, me, telling me, Uti, certain politicians from African countries and around the world saw this clip, saw this video, you know, because they get some of their intel from platforms like yours. Because mainstream media is very curated. I've made videos speaking about the looting and the rioting. I've made videos, and luckily this is on the internet, speaking about some of the terrorism that was happening in Mozambique, and that continues to happen, and that we're still not discussing. And I do have access to certain politicians. I do have access to certain big business people. I try to speak about all of them with respect and dignity. I don't mention names. Where I do mention names is normally in things that are published. If I'm going to speak about a mentor of mine, Kulufelo Maponya, and his business dealings, it's because it's documented online how the PIC has ill-treated him. The PIC that has given money to places like Steinhoff, with our Marcus Jooste. Those guys are not treated the same way Kulufelo Maponya, Iqbal Survey is treated from Segunjalo Media. So these things are out there so I can discuss them. Even though Kulufelo Maponya is a friend and a mentor of mine, and I've had him on my platforms, I can comfortably speak about Rob Hersoff because he's gone on platforms to speak his mind. And he's a friend. So I tend to speak about people and stories that are out there. You'll speak about Ace Makashule because his story is out there. Cyril Ramaphosa, the story is out there. All the other stories that are told to me in confidence and whatever by anyone, I'd like to think I respect those, and that's why I've retained the friendships that I have. Whether it is people in entertainment, people in business, people in politics, ngiyakwazi ukuhlonipha my boundaries. That's why, like I've said, I've generally not posted the mothers of my kids out of respect for them and their families. But I wanted to post my children because these are my kids. I fucking love them. And there are so many men out there who benefit from me posting my kids, speaking about my kids, speaking about the struggles of the modern world we live in, where you're not married to the mom, you have children with multiple women, being a stepfather, having your children have a stepfather, etc. Like, these are conversations we need to have. But it mustn't be at the cost of endangering myself, my children, their moms and their families. We don't know now how Cairo is feeling. And she's going to go on social media like Ingane Zabo Kanye West Nabo Kim. She's going to go on social media. She's going to go to school and other kids are going to be like, oh, your dad got shot. My mom showed me the video. Yo, how do you feel? Do you think it was whoever who killed your dad? Like, that's obviously not cool. It's real life, but it's not cool. And she's out there and she's a known person. And people will see Cairo in the streets and be like, oh, Cairo, oh, you lost your dad. Hey, Baba. And even when you're trying to have a good mood, you're in a good mood, you're having a good time somewhere, someone is maybe going to remind you, hey, your father. And you're like, oh, fuck. My dad was killed. Ricky Rick, his kids. You know? Double HP, I know, spoke about his kids as well, that he'd take his kids to school and then come back and then try and gas himself to death. And a lot of this has got to do with noise in the head. Being a celebrity, a known person, especially who continental, global. The nice thing is we want to celebrate AKA's catalog, man. My favorite rapper in the country. One of my favorite rappers on the continent. If not my favorite. One of my favorite. Let me say one of my favorite. But definitely my favorite by far. Congratulate Jealousy, Benny McCarthy and Bonang back then. Run Josie, The World Is Yours, Composure, All Eyes on Me, Baddest, with the LES. I think it's JR on that track. Or did he say he contributed to that track? Burna Boy, who's the biggest star on the African continent currently and one of the biggest stars in the world. Music he did with the LES, Mags. Music he did with Anati, 10 Fingers. Don't Forget to Pray, The Saga. Music he did with some of the continental artists. Of course, like I said, Burna Boy, Ice Prince Zamani. You know, AK was super talented, man. Super talented. I think one year he went to Nigeria. He found the secret sauce. Found the secret juice. You know, whatever they find there when they make Afro beats. About Wizkid, about Davido. And he came back, man. And his music was so dope. So musical. Outside of just rapping, which is what we love about MT. It's musical. Can play at any time, boy. Anyway. Fella in Versace. Mandela in a Rari. And then he did Lemonade recently with Nasty C. You know. Energy. Did a track with Stogie T. Yeah, man. Kiernan. Donasa St. John's. In Houghton. One of the most prestigious schools in the country. St. John's College. And he never flexed that he went to St. John's. Ricky Rick never flexed that he went to Hilton. Double HP never flexed that he went to St. Albans. Guys were all about their music, boy. Oof, Double HP. Musicality. Ah, Jabba. Come on, Hip Hop Pantsula. Casper Nyovest recently was speaking about beefing up his security. Because even with a bodyguard, man, you still die. You know? I remember one of the leaders of AfriForum, Aaron Sroot, speaking about an unfortunate incident he had. I think it was last year in 2022 at a Spur in Centurion, where some people came in, they were mugging the place and they pulled out guns. And luckily there was an off-duty security guard who came in and I think he shot one of the guys dead. And that's how they survived. And he had to take his kids for counseling and stuff. And we're all victims of crime, boy. I've been pointed at with a gun, West Dean, close to UJ, when I was still doing my honors in accounting. I was in Aberdeen Street in West Dean, and this guy pulled out a gun. He came out of a golf. It was a colored guy. Told me to give him my phone and stuff. I asked for my ID, and I think my driving license is like, I'm gonna fucking shoot you. I'm like, Faith, I just want my SIM card and my fucking ID and drive. He said, get the fuck away, I'm gonna shoot you. And I was like, pickpocketed in the Joburg CBD, first year when I got here. I remember our house being burgled back when I was in primary school and they stole my favorite sneakers. The number of people that have been killed, man, close to me. Thinking of Stanley, Mfanle, my cousin on my father's side. Dona Aunt Flomena, my aunt, you know, the eldest of my father's siblings, who we buried, who Aunt Flomena, may she rest in peace. She lost her eldest boy, Mfanle, who played golf and was a caddy, and you know, yeah, man. And this is a call, obviously, for masculinity to rise, right? We don't have men that can defend us anymore. Like, if you think of in your family, who can you call if people are threatening your life? May my father rest in peace. Uzwelakhe Phineas, Rider, Pristo, Lindani. There was a time when I was potentially caught in crossfire many years ago. And I remember asking him for advice, and he was like, at any time, if people are threatening your life, my boy, my boy, okay, he wasn't saying my boy, time I don't call me Zulu. Why do you do that? Makhona inkinga ungithinde. So bon senze nathi xazula kanjani leyo ndaba. And I've written in my book, The Rise and Fall of the NSC, about my loan sharking business and how at some point I got close to Inkabi because I wanted to learn how to collect better. You meet a lot of these guys, very nice gents, normal human beings like you and I. Because I said on the DJ Sbu, I was sitting with DJ Sbu on the virtual Mkuku last week, and I was explaining that you can get Inkabi for 5,000. Koni Inkabi that you can get for cheaper. Some are very expensive depending on the profile of the person, you know. Because I spent time with the Inkabi and they were explaining umsebenzi wabo, you know, and a lot of them, they're not really in the business of Ishabantu. A lot of them would rather find amicable solutions. But sometimes, Abafuti was Zulu, where I come from and where I was raised, even though I'm no longer officially under the Zulu kingdom. Hey, inhlonipho, iu number one. Inhlonipho number one. And abantu, maungasahlonipho, mausudelela. So khuluma nje budlapha, which some people accuse me of when I criticize the Zulu king, Umisu Zulu. And when I do criticize, I criticize the entire kingdom and their failure to work for the kingdom of Zulu and their subjects, which I believe I'm entitled to do as someone who was from the Zulu kingdom, not out of disrespect, but out of holding leadership accountable and saying, which no, mawinkosi amawumuholi, siyacela uthupakame ngoba masibuka amanye amazwe. Sibone ethuthuka kodwa sibona izwe lakaZulu lingathuthuki. Sibona umhlaba wengonyama inikezwe nje noma ibapha abelungu noma imapha amandiya inikezwe namaChina kodwa abantu bakwaZulu balambile. Abathuthuki baphila ngo350. Mase ngizositshela ukuthi kumele sithandazele uRamaphosa kodwa sihlupheka. Those things will, you know, as a good responsible follower, kumele ubambe your leaders to account. It's the only way you can have a good kingdom. So I criticize them for that, not because I'm chronipi. You know, it's done out of inhlonipho for isihlalo sesilo. It's done out of my desire for ubukhosi bakwaZulu to be raised to the highest levels. There's no reason why the Zulu kingdom can't be discussed in the same league as the British monarch. Or even in the same league as Eswatini. Umswati's got his own kingdom, his own country. Why can't KwaZulu be its own kingdom? But we get criticized, and I'm like, look, it's fine. I'll criticize because I'm speaking on behalf of many other disgruntled Zulu people who would like the kingdom to rise. In the same way we criticize Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC because we are South Africans and we demand better governance. We can't be having random people come through our borders, whether it is the borders of SADC or whether it's through flight, foreigners from Europe and whatever, or in Asia coming in here as they please, or through the harbors and the ships. I'm going on a tangent. I hope Cairo Forbes will be okay. I hope the parents of Kiernan Forbes will be okay. Nadia Nakai, Kiernan's partner now, people like DJ Zinhle, who's the mother of his child. Some of the ladies he's been with, people like Obonang, who I'd like to hope still have a good relationship with Kiernan. All the people that were around him, and Tibbs, of course. All the people that loved his music, supported him, went to his concerts, bought his music. Yeah, man. Sad. Take care of yourself. Life is fickle. Death is inevitable. Life is fickle. Death is inevitable. Live full, die empty. We lost Kiernan before his time. Same way we lost Abu Tupac Shakur before their time. But they lived a full life. And some of you are going to pass away at age 80, 85, 90. But you will have been so scared of living. You will have been so scared of living that you may as well have died at age 10. Because from there, someone scared you into submission. Live a full life. Speak your truth. Try and do it with respect and dignity. You know, learn language better so that you know where to apologize, where to use words like alleged and according to rumors, according to sources, apparently, you know, some people, a lot of people, many people, most, as far as I know, in my personal opinion, so that you ungekulimale out the streets and be accused of ukungahloniphi, and you end up getting hurt, end up hurting others, end up losing your mind and taking your own life. You know, this is a good time to reflect on what type of a legacy are you going to be leaving for your family, for your children. As much as we're going to be mourning the death of Kiernan, we're going to be celebrating the music. What are people going to be celebrating when you pass? What value have you added to people's lives? Could be 5, 10 people. You could be from Emadade in section 4. Waziwa nje ubaba rider or fuyizinja. You know, I'm a greyhound or coachy baller. But that's your legacy, and could be a mixed legacy, but there are people that miss you. Have you left children? I mean, Kiernan's left Cairo, which is beautiful, but maybe he wanted more. I know I'd like to have more children. I've got 6 amazing kids that I fucking love so much. And I'm hoping as they get older, they can make those decisions to choose to be associated with me or not. One of the conversations I did have with the mothers of my kids is, I was saying I admire people like Will and Jada and how they put Willow and Jaden into the spotlight. Justin Bieber's mom, of course, Dwayne Carter, Lil Wayne's mom. You look at, obviously, Kiernan and Zinhle. You look at, may he rest in peace, Umampincha, no babes, or to Sponge. And what the mothers highlighted, which I thought was very fair, is their content and their brands are different from yours. You touch on certain political topics that may trigger people. You touch on certain business topics which may trigger people. Some people call you a sellout. Some people say you speak about black African people in a negative way. Sometimes you swear on camera. You've got your own little cult of penalism going, which might trigger religious people. You say fuck culture and fuck ilobolo and fucking tlaulo, which might trigger some traditional people. You criticize Misuzulu, Dalinjebo, the king of Royal Bafokeng, we kind of admire them. You criticize Mswati as an example. You know, you may criticize a Vladimir Putin, a Kim Jong-un, a Joe Biden. You know, you sit with people like Rutendo Matinyarare, who's criticized the Paul Kagame. Other people might criticize Mnangagwa in Zimbabwe. You criticize people like Cyril Ramaphosa. You might speak out on certain entrepreneurs. You might maybe be seen as working with white monopoly capital or speak against white monopoly capital, and some people might. So it's like your brand is different. So as much as you wish you could have the Will and Jada effect and you make movies like Hitch and people laugh when they see you, well, obviously Will before Impama, before the Shisampama, Yasnyaga, your brand is a bit different. So there might be people that don't really like you, you know, so and I'm like, that's fair. I'm a reasonable man. I love my children. I'm considerate of their moms. So I try to move as intelligently as I can, you know. So yeah, reflect. It's time to reflect. Individually, with your family, as a nation, I guess. To everyone who just has lost a loved one, I guess, recently, or has lost a loved one to murder in particular, my sympathies, my condolences. You know, make sure that you keep their spirit alive where you can. And yeah, man, rest in peace, Kiernan Jared, aka Forbes. Rest in peace, Tibilo, Tibbs, Mutswane. My sympathies and condolences to all their loved ones. I just wanted to share that. Pen you well, the black pen. Let's all do better. Sure.